All right, so what I'm going to talk to you guys about is insurance coverage, about commercial insurance coverage, okay? Commercial insurance coverage is very different than the state insurances. And the main differences with that is that patients who have a commercial insurance have to pay to use their insurance also. So everything is not covered for them. With most of our state insurances, everything is covered for the patients. Some state insurances have a little copay of maybe 50 cents or a dollar or $2. However, that's very different for commercial insurances. So I want you guys to be familiar with some of the common insurance terms that we'll be using for insurances. I want you guys to become insurance experts for yourself too. I want you to know a lot about insurance, so when patients talk to you about it, you feel comfortable addressing their concerns, okay? And that's going to start off by knowing what the different terms mean and how they're related. So first, I want you to know that with commercial insurances, they have contracts with certain doctors. And those doctors, when they have a contract with those doctors are considered in-network. So a contract may be that, for example, if a doctor sees a patient, and let's say if we see a patient and we bill the patient $150 for that visit. With that insurance, the contract may be that we're going to pay you guys $100 for a visit. Even though I billed out $150, they're still going to pay us $100. And that's because I have a contract with them. I'm considered in network with them. When patients choose to come to doctors who are in network, they save a lot of money. Because if I were not in network, I would have to send them a bill and say, your insurance paid us $100, but you still owe us $50 more. If we're in network, we typically cannot do that. If the insurance says we can only charge them $100, that's all they owe us and that's it. So it's in the patient's best interest to use doctors who are in network, and we also want to make sure we're in network with the patient's insurance company so that they're getting the best deal they can and helping them save money. When patients register with us and they ask about insurances, we tell them we're on network or not. That's the main issue. They should be able to go on their own insurance website and then find us on their website to confirm that we're in network. The insurances have their own websites usually, and you can type in what doctor you're looking at, and it'll show you if they're in network or not, okay? All right. So out of network means that we don't have a contract with the insurance company, and in that when patients come to doctors who are out of network, they don't get the best coverage. They may have a higher amount they have to pay out of pocket, so they don't want to come to doctors who are out of network, okay? It's part of our job to help patients figure out if we're in network or out of network. We ideally want to accept patients who are in network only with us. If there are out of network patients who want to come with us, it's usually a case-by-case basis where we have to make sure the patients know that we're not in network, therefore their benefits may not be as high as they would be otherwise. All right? Any questions about in-network versus out-of-network? In-network versus out-of-network is something that you guys at the front desk don't really control. It's a matter of whatever insurance company the patient has, and are we on network with that insurance company. So we have a list of insurance companies that we're on network with. We take most of the commercial insurances, and we take most of the Medicaid, but not everything. For example, we are not on network with Molina specifically. So if patients come in with Molina State Insurance, we have to let them know we don't take that insurance. You can pay us if you want for our office visit, but we don't take that insurance. All right. So when you think about insurance coverage, you have to be familiar with these terms: copay, deductible, coinsurance, out-of-pocket maximum, and then also family deductible and family out-of-pocket maximum. So once you understand this stuff, a lot of things will make sense to you, okay? I think about it in insurance as a line. So I'm going to draw a line because it helps me describe how insurance works. So let's think about this as a starting point, that we got insurance and we're going to start using insurance, and we're going to go to a doctor for an office visit and see how insurance helps us pay for our visits. Insurance companies typically have something called a deductible. So from $0, common deductibles for insurance companies are $1,500. They may be higher. This would be a good one to get, okay? $1,500 deductible. So this is called a deductible range. In this range, the patient has to pay all of this. Insurance company does not pay anything. So what happens is when you go to a doctor's office, let's say the doctor charged you, we'll simplify description of how I'm going to describe this. Let's say you went to a doctor and you had a bill of $1,000. I'm making up numbers so I can show an example easier, okay? Because typically it won't be that high. So the doctor's office bills the insurance company. The insurance company looks at the policy that the patient signed up for, and they said, okay, well, their deductible is $1,500. So this $1,000 is going to go to the patient. The patient has to pay it. So what happens is we get a letter back from the insurance company called an EOB, explanation of benefits. It says on here $1,000 deductible, and then we have to send a bill to the patient, and hopefully the patient will pay us. If they don't pay us, then eventually go to collections, etc. Okay, but it's basically our responsibility at this point to collect from the patient. All right. So now let's say after they've paid $1,000, what happens then is it's considered that they have met $1,000 of their deductible. Now, how much more do they have to meet? 500 more. So they've met $1,000. They still have $500 to go before the insurance company will help start paying. So now let's say the patient goes to a doctor again, and the doctor bills out, let's say it's $500. Okay, we'll just make it easy. So $500, all right, we send this to the insurance company. Insurance company looks, they said, okay, they paid $1,000. They have to pay $1,500 before we help. So this $500 is also going to be patient responsibility because that's part of the deductible. Now, after the patient pays $1,500, they necessarily don't have to pay it. I mean, we've charged them that, but if they don't pay us, the insurance company doesn't care about us. They just know that they're supposed to have paid $1,500 already. At this point, the insurance company says, okay, this patient has met their deductible. After this deductible, there's another range that kicks in that is called a co-insurance range. All right, co-insurance range. Co-insurance means that the insurance company will pay some of the bill, and the patient still has to pay some of the bill. The co-insurance typically it may be 20% and 70% for insurance company. So 20% for patient, and well, 80% then, 20 and 80%, okay? So let's say it's like that, 20, 80% for insurance company. So what happens is now if I send a bill to this insurance company for this patient visit, the insurance company will say that 20% the patient has to pay and 80% the insurance will pay. So now let's say they go to the doctor office, and now we've met our deductible. Now we are in the co-pay, in the co-insurance range, okay? So now let's bill the patient $1,000. These are not normal bill amounts. I'm doing this for, again, easy numbers, okay? So now we send this to the insurance company. The insurance company says, well, we've already paid. They've paid their deductible. Now they're in the co-insurance range. Out of this $1,000, 20% is going to be patient responsibility. So 20% of $1,000 is $200. On our EOB, it will say $200 co-insurance. This one, we have to bill to patient. Okay? The insurance company will send us a check for $800 because per the contract the patient has with the insurance company, after they met the deductible, the insurance company is supposed to pick up 80% of their bill, and the patient has to pick up 20% of their bill. And so that's how this ends up. Okay, the patient has to pay $200. That's called co-insurance. Make sense? Mm-hmm. They're helping but not paying all of it. Now, as the patient keeps going for care, they keep getting hit with a 20% co-insurance. Eventually they pay a certain amount of money. with those co-insurances. Okay, so then when they pay a certain amount of money with their co-insurances, they hit something called a out-of-pocket maximum. So common numbers for an out-of-pocket maximum for commercial insurances may be $5,000 to $10,000. It's a lot, and it's very difficult. Even for me as a doctor, it's very hard for me to afford health insurance, because I have to buy it for my family. But it's a lot. So they have to keep paying the 20% share until they have paid $5,000 out-of-pocket maximum. This $5,000 includes their deductible and the co-insurance amounts that they're paying. The insurance company keeps track of that. Oftentimes the patients get neat little graphs in the mail or pie charts. They'll say you have met $500 of your deductible. You have met this part of your out-of-pocket maximum, things like that. All right? After they hit their out-of-pocket maximum, now it's 100% coverage after this. So now let's say the patient has paid $5,000 out of their own money. They're still going for more doctor care. And now let's say here they get a $1,000 bill again. In this zone where now it's 100% coverage, the insurance company will pay $1,000 to us. At this point, the patient will not have any amount that they have to pay, all right, from insurance. Does this make sense? So the critical things to look at here is going to be, maybe I'll change the color here and see if that'll make it look a little better. So critical things you're going to look at here is starting off point. We start off at a 0. This 0 is beginning of the year. Deductibles start off at the beginning of the year, okay? So let's say we're December 25, 2016, and now let's say you've paid up all your deductible for this year. Well, now it's going to be 2017. It's going to start all over again. It's, yeah, horrible. So this starts off, the deductible starts off yearly at the beginning of the year, okay? So I'm telling patients if they have something to do, come now before the end of the month because you've probably paid your deductibles through the year. Let's get things done now versus January 1 where your deductible starts over again and then you have to pay it over again. Make sense? All right, so deductible, remember, starts January 1. After they pay the deductible, they hit a zone called a co-insurance zone where the insurance is picking up a percent. A patient is picking up a percent and the insurance is picking up a percent. After they keep paying their percent, they eventually keep going, hit a out-of-pocket maximum. Now the insurance company said, okay, well, you've paid your $5,000 of what you agreed to pay. Now we'll cover 100%, all right, after the out-of-pocket maximum. All right, so those are the important terms to know. Now there's another thing that we do called a copay. A copay is an amount that the insurance company expects the patients to pay for their office visits. There's different amounts of copays for different types of office visits. So when a patient comes to us and we say, well, your copay contract says you have to pay us $15 for the office visit, okay? That amount that we collect from the patient, the insurance company doesn't pay that. Let's say the insurance company allows us $100 for a visit. The patients have to pay us a copay of $15, so the insurance company is going to pay us $85 because the $15 is supposed to come from the patient. Ideally, we want to collect all the copays at the time of the visit. We don't want to have to bill copays. That's their share of their insurance. The copay is a contract between the patient and the insurance company. So if a person says, why do we have to pay this copay? Our answer is, well, because that's the insurance that you chose and it's a contract between your insurance and you. We just have to collect it, but we don't really tell your insurance what copay you have to pay. The insurance tells us we have to collect the copay from you. Mm-hmm. So if a patient has difficulty with a copay, we have to let them know. It's like, well, this is something we have to collect, but you may want to call your insurance or find out why you have to pay a copay. All right, so copay is something that has to do with the patient and the insurance company, not us. Make sense? All right. Was this helpful to understand how it works with an individual? It'll take a few times for you guys to listen to it, and then you'll kind of start sinking in and understanding this, okay? You'll be able to watch this over again. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk to you guys about what a family deductible and family out-of-pocket maximum is. We talked about deductible and out-of-pocket maximum here, but there's another level to it, which is when there is a family involved, and what happens then. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start up a new sheet here so I don't mess up that one, and let me zoom into this a little bit here. Okay, so we talked about the stuff that we just talked about is in regards to individual. So an individual has their own deductible and their own out-of-pocket maximum. If a person is buying the insurance individually, just for themselves, these numbers are pretty easy because you know your deductible, you know your out-of-pocket maximum. However, there's many cases where people are buying this insurance for the family. And let's assume for the family, there are 4 people that are going to buy insurance. So for example, me, my wife, and my 2 kids. So I have 4 people. Each person has their own deductible, and each person has their own out-of-pocket maximum too. So individual, they have your own. As a family, they each have their own deductible and out-of-pocket maximum. So let's say, for example, to get some numbers in here, let's say a deductible is $1,000. Out-of-pocket maximum is $5,000 for the individual. Now, if I have 4 people in the family who are all getting care and they're all sick and things like that, it really begins to add up quite a bit. Because you imagine for this person, we have to pay $1,000 deductible. 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 So $4,000 we'll have to pay before the insurance starts doing the co-insurance range. So what insurance companies do is they say, you know, yeah, because you're buying for a family, we're going to set the maximum family deductible as $2,000. As an example. So what that means is that when we start paying deductibles, the insurance company takes a look at a total of this. And when the total of these 4 hit $2,000, you're done with your deductibles. Okay? So it's possible that person A spent $1,000 on deductible, person B spent $1,000 on deductible. Now when person C goes to the doctor, they've met their family deductible, so this person's going to start off in their co-insurance range. Make sense? Same thing. This person's going to start off in their co-insurance range. That limits the deductible for the whole family. Similar thing happens with the out-of-pocket maximum. Each person has a $5,000, $5,000, $5,000, $5,000. That's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. However, the insurance company typically limits it to 2 people. So they'll say the out-of-pocket maximum for the family is $10,000. So what happens is after any number of people in total hit a maximum of $10,000, then everybody else is basically at that point in the 100% coverage range. So that's how family deductibles and family out-of-pocket maximum differs from the individual. Sound okay? Excellent. Do you have any questions about these things? I'm going to be coming up with a number of quiz questions regarding this using easy numbers. It'll help you think about these ranges, and also it will help you understand them so that when patients are coming in and talking to you guys, you'll be able to picture this in your mind and know what the different numbers mean and different amounts mean. Sounds good? Awesome, guys. Thank you. I'll make this available to you
I have
guys
a
shortly.
question. Is the copay included in the out-of-pocket maximum?
That's a great question. Is a copay included in the out-of-pocket maximum? Most of the time it is, that I've seen now in insurances. A while ago it wasn't, but now the copay is also adding to the out-of-pocket maximum. Okay. Let me talk to you guys about one more topic about insurance, actually, which would be helpful. That's important. And that topic is about prescription coverage. So prescription coverage works similar to what the other types of things work, where there's a deductible, co-insurance, and 100% for some insurances. There's prescriptions that we call brand name prescriptions. Brand name prescriptions cost more to the patient. There's also a prescription that we call generic prescriptions. Generic prescriptions aren't bad in any way, they're very good. They basically don't have the brand name on them, but it's not like you're going to some kind of a cheap department store and buying brand versus generic. It's not like that. They're both good quality, high quality medications, all right? So typically insurance companies will have less of a copay with these and better coverage, so we always want to have patients take these if possible. Medicaid covers just generic prescriptions. They're all the same basically, pretty much. So patients will typically have a deductible. They have a copay for their prescriptions. So let's say when I go to the pharmacy, I'm going to get a medication. They'll say, well, your copay is $10 for this or $15 for this. Usually I find out when I go to the pharmacy. The copay amount for the prescription adds up into the out-of-pocket maximum too. It also adds up for the family out-of-pocket maximum. After you hit a certain amount that you've paid X amount of copays, then it goes into either co-insurance range or full payment. So prescriptions kind of work in that way also. So not just the copay for the office visit adds into their out-of-pocket maximum, but usually the prescription copays also add up into the out-of-pocket maximum. Okay? Excellent. Good job. All right, so that's that. Any other thoughts or questions at all for right now? That's this one. Good. Excellent. So what I'll do is on the video, I'll make these available as individual slides and also the whole video together so you have it as a reference. All right, good job, you guys. So let's stop this.